Have you ever wondered what it's like for newcomers to the modern Rainbow Six Siege? I have a little experience, and the last time around Rainbow Six was a couple years ago. And after all this time, I feel how hard it is to get back into the flow and remember how to play my favorite garbage. I'm not even talking about the people who are starting the game for the first time. I don't know game with such mechanics of shooting, variety of operatives, gadgets, and controlling drones to get important information at all. The game itself is quite deep on such things, so even the first difficulties will start in the mode for beginners. For me, for the first time it was not clear what rotation is and why it is needed. I could calmly straighten the wall and do not think about the fact that men from my team purposely left a hole to pick the enemy in it, and then do not understand why the teammate began to shoot at me. Or, for example, play for the attack, run out of cover and get spawn picked from the window, and then they will run to sit and watch the game of the team. Such simple things will be incomprehensible in the first matches, but then you start to become more confident and make the first kills. Or when it comes to information on drones and cameras, newcomers will of course use the function to mark an enemy operative with red pink instead of yellow marker. It will be surprising to them that the enemy will immediately get a message that he was detected, and he will frantically start looking for where he was seen from. And only after many matches and mountains of swear words from teammates, a newcomer will put a yellow pink. At first, I began to try to play 2 to 3 operatives for each side and learn their skills, learn not to waste their abilities. I remember at first I had moments when I could spend the entire supply of hard breach and stand looking at the reinforced walls when time runs out. Or to obviously spread the cameras, playing as a Valkyrie and sit without any information because the enemy immediately notices them. And now, just imagine that newcomer will open some of the operatives, which are not free, on each to try themselves and find the most ideal, which will fit the style of his game. In addition, imagine his face when a new balance patch comes out and his already small collection gets nerfed. And now, just when you start to feel more or less confident, the beginner mode becomes unavailable to you at once. And you have to choose between fast play, standard mode or ranked mode. Obviously, a newbie will go to play in quick mode to improve his skills and get into the game further. But from personal experience, when I came into the game after a couple of years, in the quicks began to sit alone, sweaty and smelly assholes who have not seen grass in the ice. After he was moved there, Rico decides to go to the rating, obviously finding opponents of the same level and goes the way of calibration. But as practice showed me, the most accessible for beginners was the standard mode. It is really less tougher than the other 2 modes, as it seems to me. Mostly experienced players play in fast and rating, and standard does not attract them because of the long match. And the fact that it does not affect the rating, it is easier for them to go and warm up in quicks. As in all online cesspits, of course there is a Battle Pass in Rainbow. Where in our time without it? Now it is already everywhere where you can be, and this game it did not bypass. Compared to the rest of the games, personally I'm less attracted to the Battle Pass from Rainbow Six. It's the most stingy on skins, and only sometimes you can get a free pack. Even comparing it to Fortnite, which has collabs with Griffins, Star Wars and Hatsune Miku, the Rainbow just fades. Of course, you will tell me that such collabs are not in the spirit of the game, but in fact the sun skins can be counted on the fingers. And if there is something unusual, it is something in the spirit of clowns, not brutal operatives. The Battle Pass in this game is clearly not something worth clinging to, and I don't see any motivation for newcomers to spend money on it. I think the record should be considered from the position that this is a person who leaves another online game and goes to the siege. And of course updates and new content in the game is insanely few, and it is rare when it even comes out. The same applies to all sorts of thematic events. At a certain point, he will begin to feel that Ubisoft is not trying to breathe life into the game, and that it is, in a sense, dying. Also remember that the threshold of entry into the game is quite high. Despite the fact that the game has training with bots of different difficulty levels, with real person it is not comparable. A good aim bot and a player with a good combat IQ cannot stand next to each other. Through constant defeats and pain, the player will learn the game, and it can certainly scare him off very well. To date, to get into this game will be more difficult than at least 5 years ago. when there were fewer maps to learn and fewer operators, the number of which has doubled. And also to each operative in addition to a unique ability or gadget. Of course, to play alone this game I would not advise. The whole emphasis of gameplay goes exactly joint action and getting information that will lead you to victory. So Termite cannot blow in reinforced walls with Bandit's shockwire without the help of Thatcher. Blitz cannot just run in without information from Zero or IQ. Montaigne can't get on point without someone to cover his back. These are a few examples of a good bunch of players that will work with joint efforts. And now, in addition to buying a copy of the game himself, the player must still persuade to join his friends, who will be immersed in gameplay from scratch and in theory will not withstand the stress of the game and just leave. Of course, there is an option to look for partners on thematic forums, but more fun of course will bring interaction with your bro than playing with strangers. Everyone of course different, perhaps someone has no mates who are into video games, and Siege will be a good opportunity to make new friends. Not with the best nerds, of course, but it is better than playing just one. In fact, the game is unique and something so tactical and diverse I have not met. It gives a truly unique experience in the skin of a Special Forces operative. It will definitely not be easy for new recruits, and you can already compare your first experience in the Rainbow Six with what I talked about in the video. Recently, Ubisoft announced Siege X, a free and updated sound engine game with a new mode that reminds me something like Call of Duty. In connection with the news, we should expect an influx of old players, newcomers who will be interested in a free shooter, and of course a lot of cheaters. I would like to believe that the anti-cheat will be able to hold back the wave of cheaters and will not scare away the returning audience. I will hope that the game will extend its life a bit and expect a new influx of content, but this is Ubisoft, so it will certainly be a miracle. I hope you enjoyed my first video, and I would appreciate your support in the form of likes and comments. Have a good game and good luck!